Hi, I'm Russ of Aquarium. Welcome to Your First Tank. This is a video series that will help you set up your first aquarium successfully. Once your tank is cycled and stocked, regular maintenance will help keep it in good condition. I'll describe daily and weekly maintenance tasks, as well as some tasks that might be done monthly or as needed, depending on your setup. It only takes a few seconds to check temperature, water flow, fish appearance, activity, and numbers. You will soon get a feel for the normal behavior of your fish. If there is a noticeable change, it could be a sign of trouble. If there's an issue you can't pinpoint, it's a good idea to test for ammonia and nitrite. It's extremely important not to overfeed your fish. Unfortunately, it's also really easy to do because many fish will beg even when they've already had plenty of food. Here are some tips that may help you avoid overfeeding your fish. First, keep in mind that fish don't need anywhere near as much food as humans do per unit of body mass. They don't have to rely on food to maintain their body temperature like we do, nor do they need to spend a lot of energy just holding themselves up. Most fish are also adapted to eating small amounts of food at a time. Quantity and frequency of feeding will of course vary with species, size, and quantity of fish, as well as other factors. However, here's a rule of thumb that can get you started. Feed no more than your fish can finish in 30 seconds to a minute. If you feed like this twice a day, that's a good way to prevent overfeeding. If you have catfish or other species that commonly feed at the bottom, you can drop in a small amount of sinking food once the lights go out at night. When in doubt, feed a little less. It's okay to skip a day or even a weekend once in a while without any problems. If you do accidentally overfeed, it's time to do a partial water change and remove as much of that extra food as you possibly can, which brings us to the weekly maintenance tasks. One of the most important maintenance tasks is a weekly partial water change of about 20 to 25% of your water. You may need to do larger or smaller changes depending on the needs of your particular aquarium system. Because goldfish produce a fair amount of waste, I do larger water changes on this tank, usually about 50 to 60%, sometimes even more. To make water changes easy, you'll need something like this, which is called a gravel vacuum or gravel washer, or simply an aquarium siphon. I prefer models with a valve that makes starting the siphon easy. To start the water flowing with this type, you simply immerse the wider tube in the water at an angle and shake the siphon up and down. Alternatively, you can use a water changing system that hooks up to a sink, like this one. The larger tube at the end allows you to pull waste out of the gravel while leaving the gravel itself inside the aquarium. Remove as much waste as you can from the substrate. If you find you cannot vacuum all of the substrate during one water change, alternate portions of the tank that you vacuum from week to week. The beauty of weekly partial water changes is that they help you keep your aquarium in good condition, so that you rarely, if ever, need to take all of the water out of your aquarium, unless you're moving it. Other weekly tasks include scraping algae if needed. There are a variety of different types of algae removal tools available, from blades to pads to magnetic scrapers that allow you to do the work while keeping your hands dry. As you scrape, make sure not to trap particles of substrate between the scraper and the glass, or it can leave nasty scratches. Cleaning the external glass. Careful not to get any cleaner in the water. A good way to do this is to spray cleaner onto the newspaper or paper towel you're using, rather than spraying directly onto the glass. You can also position the spray bottle so that the cleaner drips directly onto the glass, rather than spraying into the air. There are other important aquarium maintenance tasks that vary in frequency depending on your particular setup. You might need to do them every 2 weeks, or every month, or more or less often. One of the most important of these tasks is filter maintenance. You should change or rinse disposable filter media depending on the type of media you have and how dirty it is. Like many aquarium hobbyists, in most of my tanks, I use bonded polyester quilt batting that I buy at a fabric store. I simply cut it to fit the filter. It is much cheaper than most filter media. If the flow of the filter is reduced, and the disposable filter media are in good shape, it's probably time to scrub out the intake tube with a filter brush. The impeller may need cleaning too. If so, a small brush, or even your fingers in the running water of the tap can work well. Just be very careful not to bend the impeller shaft. Wipe the cover and other external surfaces with a damp cloth. The cover glass will need to be removed and cleaned periodically as well. Because the lower surface of this glass will come into contact with the aquarium water, I do not use glass cleaners, just vinegar, water, algae scrapers, and sometimes a melamine pad or magic eraser. If you have live plants, they will need periodic trimming to help keep them looking their best. As a general rule, for slower growing plants, just clip or pinch off the older decaying discolored leaves. For faster growing plants, you'll need to trim the new growth to keep the plant bushy and compact. Fluorescent tubes will need to be changed every 6 months to a year. And those are the most important maintenance tasks for your first tank.